Listener discretion advised. Light the blunt.
From a porch somewhere between madness and clarity comes a voice, a thought, a rant, maybe even a revelation. You're listening to Shack Ramble, brought to you by Inside My Hoodie. That's InsideMyHoodie.com. And now, he lit his blunt, his mask is on, the mic is hot. Will he stay focused? Probably not. Please welcome Jinx.
Do you feel that? Do you feel that? We're here. You probably heard her say Jinx, right? And you're probably wondering, who is Jinx? Jinx is me. I got to thinking, because I was doing this Ramble show. We go ahead and knock this song off now. So, I got my CDL not long after I got back from overseas, so that was probably 2009, so maybe it was 2008. I don't know. It was sometime around there, probably 2008. It seems more like the time frame of my screw-ups back then. Not that trucking was a screw-up, but the time I spent between getting home from deployment and trucking was a giant, multiple layers of screw-up. But I got it together. I got my CDL. I went through the whole trucking school, 2 weeks. It was actually supposed to be 3, but I got my permit on my own. I went ahead and took that initiative, so they let me skip the week of classroom work, which I was very grateful for, because you can knock that book out in a few hours versus an entire week. But it is important stuff. You need to learn it. You should know it if you're thinking of trucking, because that's what I'm about to rant about for a second. So go through that, get hired at this company that no longer exists, or they got folded into another company. That's kind of the way of things now. It's back to my whole rant about portfolio holding corporate finance bros losing sleep when they could probably do so much good. So that's not my... Alright, whatever. So I meet my trainer. His name was Roderick. Never forget him. I mean, we spent... I think it was just around 2 or 3 weeks in that, and he had a Kenworth T600 is what it was, and those are smaller as far as like inside space goes, because the company also had Volvos, which is a big wide body. But we were cool. We hardly ever bickered. I mean, there were some stressful moments, here and there, as I'm figuring out how to be a truck driver and safely maneuver that 80,000-pound missile. But I remember our first week, we were all up in Jersey and New York, Pittsburgh. It felt like we were just in the Northeast the entire time, and anything that could go wrong with a load went wrong. Like Murphy's Law. But he told me, because he had such smooth... I was his first student, by the way, so he had been a solo driver up till then. He told me that up until then, everything had gone so smooth for him. I jinxed him. So he named me Jinx. And that has stuck here and there throughout different trucking jobs. I've never really told people about that one. But we would just go on and ramble and ramble and ramble. And blare Lil Wayne. I can't remember how many times we blared the Carter 3, I think. There's this really good spoken word song at the end about crackheads getting moved in or getting moved out to jail while moving in sex offenders. It's interesting. But that said, I unfortunately and fortunately caught the tail end of that golden era of trucking, the long haul trucking. I mean, there's nothing better when you're 23, stuffing a bunch of money in your pocket, getting to see the country. I eventually found out that I'm yawning all of a sudden. I haven't been yawning all day, but I was busy doing stuff. Now I'm chilling in the shed. I would like to have the door open. I feel very claustrophobic, but it was so windy that I just wasn't happy with any of the mic sounds I was getting on my tests. It was either too or if I had the noise canceling on, it was too noticeable for me. And that's who's paying attention. But anyways, I get into the trucking industry and I'm going all over the place. I had a buddy go with me a couple times. That's what I wanted. I missed being around people. Like, trucking would be awesome if I could do it with like 10 other people. So being in a band on the road was always the dream, or some kind of on the road. And now that I've done it trucking, by myself, living in these truck stop parking lots and warehouses and side streets, bro, I could easily live on the road in a van, stinking, with a bunch of dudes. It wouldn't even be an issue. I was always ready and willing to live that scuzzy life, but I gave up pursuing the scuzzy life for the Army, which, yeah, they gave me a decent paycheck, but that was still the scuzzy life. I probably would have lived better in venues, drinking bottled waters, and starving all the time. But I was willing to go through it. If you can't go without chasing comforts, then I personally think you might not be as aligned as you think you are. I'm not saying you have to always have discomforts in every area, but, pursuing a full-time music career or travel, that's going to require some grit. But I think you can grit it out. I think you can grit it. I think you can grit it out. I think you can grit it. Because I went most of my life feeling like an imposter, a fraud, and I guess that's normal. I hear it enough from everybody else that it's totally normal. To feel like you don't belong what you're doing, or you're not going to amount to anything in that industry or whatever, but that's hogwash. I wish I had this mindset starting at, 15, whatever. I wish and I don't wish. It's been a hell of a journey, but I wouldn't complain if I did it over again with a little bit more ease. And that all came back to me and my negativity, bro. So fine, be miserable. But let me get back to trucking. So if you want to join the trucking industry now, I think it'd be fine because you won't have any context of the previous golden era that I was so happy to witness. So back then, you had, GPS didn't really matter. It existed for cars, pretty decent, but trucks, you just could not trust it yet. I mean, it's top of the line now. It was top of the line when I went back in 2011. It was good to go. But we're talking a few years prior to that, before the 2010s began. You Gen Zs. Y'all don't know shit about grit. I promise you that. And you losing Wi-Fi for the afternoon does not count. And I'm being kind of facetious there because where I'm at now, I can throw a little fit if we don't get our Wi-Fi. So bitch about it. But I just remember this era, like the truck stops, just they were better maintained. There was always more people floating around. I'd go into the Iron Skillet at night, sit down at the driver's area bar that had this whole wraparound area, and it'd be packed full of other drivers. Sometimes you wait for a seat, sit down and start telling load stories. Can't tell you how many times I heard them start, took a load, but that's what we were doing. We were taking loads. You like that. You like taking loads. Perverts. But I've hauled everything from glass to empty pallets to toilet paper to Kool-Aid to cheese. I mean, there were certain things I wouldn't do. I mean, I got my foot in the door and realized I was very much interested in the long haul, no touch freight, drop and hook kind of companies. I have no interest in continuing to labor my body. I'm getting old, y'all. I'm getting old. But I'm also getting younger. I'm feeling much younger. Because I think it really is mindset. And there's plenty of stuff to back me up on that. I'm not the scientist here. I'm just the trier. And then I'll testify about it. If it worked for me, I don't think I'm that much different. I think I'm worse off than most of y'all. I'm a procrastinating, goal unreaching underachiever most of the time. And that's for my sins. But I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying. 6:26 on the clock. So now it's... Also, we used atlases. Sorry, I knew y'all. I knew I wouldn't stay focused. I can't help it. I'm staring at a wall. A wall. But these companies now, they can get a hold of you too easy. Back then, I had my little Qualcomm computer, but I could ignore that as often as I wanted. If they didn't get a hold of me, they didn't get a hold of me. I had a cell phone, but they didn't pay for it, so I don't answer it. I'm pretty selective about who I answer on it now, up here, when it comes to work. Like, if Boss Man wants to send an aggressive text, guess who's not getting a reply? I mean, pay for the phone, I'll reply all day. But no. So, but then I would hear stories about guys that didn't even have the Qualcomm to get their load assignments. They would have to find a truck stop at the pay phones, put the quarters in, call their dispatcher. They might say, call back in 3 hours, I don't have anything. So, it's one of those lifestyles that you're going to have to learn how to be good at reflecting. Because whether you're sitting there waiting for something to be unloaded, whether you're sitting there waiting to be loaded, whether you're sitting in traffic while you're driving, whether you're just driving, you have a lot of time to think. And I've heard a lot of people talk about that with their AT runs too, or their AT hikes, CDC hikes, PCT hikes. I remember rucking in the Army. That was a lot of time to think too. And back then I was not thinking positive. But it's still, I think it's a good career. I still have my CDL. I'm not keeping it because, I want to go back. I love road tripping. The only thing about trucking is you get to trip on the road. No, you actually don't. You don't get to trip on the road. You're just on the road. And then you're going to the seedy underbellies of most cities. You can't just pull over and go visit the Grand Canyon. Or if there's a way, I don't know. I never really had the time. So I got to see America unfold before me many times from the highways and these crappy side streets. That said, I've now been able to take my own road trips in my car and go see all that stuff again that I wanted to. And that's still the plan. But I had a wave of gratitude come over earlier. You know, it was before all the wind picked up and tried to blow my plans over. But I had the door rolled up and was looking out at the Chattahoochee National Forest. We're sitting up here. And it's like, wow, I get to be exactly where I used to dream I wanted to be. I would watch YouTube videos like, I wish I could just live in the woods. That would be awesome. Boom, did it. Don't want a hard job. Boom, did it. It was a cesspool when I got here of people. A cesspool. But I stayed positive as I could. And it took a couple years of, deep sorrow. You know, having to fill in when you think you're going to be off. And it's just all these nonsense things that shouldn't really affect me as hard as they did, but I was growing. And I continue to do so. But right now, couldn't be happier. I think what we have a good thing going up here. We have a good reputation. I take it very serious. And I get to do this. I get to start the podcast. And I know you noticed the new intros and stuff. That was always in the works. That was always the plan. I was always planning to evolve it and stuff. I just didn't know how or what. I just had to get episodes out. I had to start doing that. And wherever I'm at now with that, probably 10, 11 hours of released stuff, I probably won't be fully comfortable till there's over 100. But I'm trying it. I'm doing it. And so when I said earlier that I'm this, goal non-reaching underachiever or whatever I blurted out, it's like, yes, but I'm not a quitter. I have, chemical imbalances that I'm working really hard to maintain control over. And sometimes I don't, and then things slip. And it's just incredible how I can talk myself out of it, but I'm very well aware of it, so there's no excuses anymore. I don't have that luxury anymore. I'm too far past that. Nothing in my external world has any actual say over my life. We just happen to let it. If you can cultivate a bubbling brook of peace in your chest, in your body, and think happy thoughts, it shows up in your external. And I can see it because I have such zen days here while everyone else is running around. Oh my gosh. It's like the solutions are just right there in front of me while they can't even see their left foot. And then I bring it up. There's a better way. But I'm a jerk for that. I don't take it that way, even though the way they're speaking about it is, you can't tell me how to feel. You're absolutely right. I cannot. I can just point out there are better ways. And that doesn't mean I do it in an undermining way. It's just, I will point out if someone's going on and on all day and gets to a certain point of heat, like you were letting this person who comes up maybe a few hours a year have so much power over you. And it makes me sad. I do hope this is good. I also got some new effects, like a bunch, bro. It's like, I could press this one. It's like, so, I was walking on my way to work. That kind of stuff. And then I went to a meet and greet, right? And I walked in and it was like this. But then they realized it was me, and it was like this. That's funny stuff. It's funny stuff. I need to get better headphones, though. I stopped using them on this mic. The ones that I had this old pair. I don't even know where they came from, but they had a certain background hum that just bothers me. So I'm going to upgrade to a better set of those. I did buy a spare mic. So I am no longer just using the phone, which was like the first 9 episodes. Excuse me. Sorry. No, I'm not. But that's totally lost my train of thought. And I don't even know what that... My notes. I have my notes, and then I forget to open them because I use them so seldom. But, you know, how's your mood, guys? I'd like some of you to send me emails. I like it when I get them. It's fun to read. I don't do much reading on here because it's personal. I'm not going to call y'all out like that. But welcome new ones. Hello, old ones. It's fun watching the numbers go up. See new people. I don't know what's going to happen. But this feels good to talk. I just would like a co-host. I wish I could get somebody to do this with me, like 4 times a week. Because I can talk forever. With people. By myself, this is a little tougher. But I would like everyone listening right now to check in on your mental, spiritual, and physical well-being. Find a way to balance them. But I'm happy we finally have some sun. We went so many days up here without any sun. Wow. Clarity. Okay, I'm going to end it here. This has been my little shack ramble. It's about 23 minutes, and I'm going to play Kick That Ick. Seriously, energy sits in our bodies, and sometimes it's to feel stagnant, and that can come across as irritability, stress, anything. So shake, just shake, loosen it up. Move that energy and welcome in and intend good new energy to fill you up. Stop making excuses. Stop being a little bitch. Amen? All right. Love you. Bye.